Hello guys, and welcome to my very first Factorio video. I'm going to be starting out a new game here, entering the seed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 in case you want to be playing on the same map that I'm going to be playing throughout this series. I've been completing the tutorials, I've been having a few hours of gameplay here, and I'm absolutely loving the game, and that is why I wanted to be doing a gameplay series on it. Starting out my Factorio level here, I just wanted to start by saying what I feel Factorio is. I feel it is a combination of Civilization, Railroad Tycoon, Terraria, and Minecraft. It has a lot of amazing construction options. It has a huge infinite world. It has multiplayer capabilities. It just has so much cool going for it, and hopefully I will be able to showcase some of that stuff throughout this series. Starting out, you have nothing. Well, that's not true. You have a mine, you have a furnace, and you have some iron bars that you can use to craft tools with if you want to. And the way I'm going to be starting out this episode here, my very first kick start of the series is to clear out a bit of space here and start by getting a coal mine up and running, start by getting some stone and hopefully getting iron automated. So that is my goal for the first series, just clearing out some space, preparing for, because this is gonna, Factorio is so insanely amazing. The first thing I'm doing here is putting down my burner mining drill. It needs some kind of fuel in order to work. It can take wood and it can also use coal, but it will not fuel itself. We're gonna make it fuel itself more or less as we just get a bit more time into the game. It's probably gonna be happening in this episode here, and while I just wait for the mine to get the first few nuggets of coal up, I'm just grabbing some stone here because we're gonna be making additional furnaces. We do need stone. It's not one of the things that you need that much in the game, but you kind of need to have it, so we're gonna get a mine up and running for that as well, probably in this episode as well. So let's see here, we have 11 coal. That's not bad, and it's running. We're just using our wood to fire it up. We actually need a little bit of wood for chests, but just as with stone, wood is not something you're going to be using that much of in the game, and it's pretty easy to get. Mostly trees are annoying because you need to chop them down, but you will be able to get better tools. So yeah, we're moving up here because we can see a small chunk on the minimap, and that is iron. Iron being a crazy important resource, just as copper, but I am not expecting us to be able to get copper in this episode. Probably one of the next ones. I'm starting out picking some of this iron ore with the pickaxe that I crafted from my starting resources, and iron ore in itself is not something that we can actually use. We need to put it into the furnace, and then we need to burn it with our coal to get iron plates that we can use to craft stuff with. I decided to put my starting mine on the coal because we're going to be needing so much coal. Well, we're going to be needing iron as well, but I wanted to have a steady supply of coal for all the machinery that we're going to be having at the start of the game, because to start with, everything works on coal. Just going to be using our wood here because coal is more efficient and we need wood for nothing, so we're just stashing up on the coal for now. We're going to put it into our mine that we're going to be building once we have, well, this iron ore, once it has been burned into something that we can use to craft a mine with. A really amazing thing about Factorio is that the crafting system is sub-component automated. What that means is that if you have the materials to craft something, even though it requires 1,000 different things, if you have all the materials to make those 1,000 different things, it will make them for you. And that is pretty much what was going on here. We needed cogs and this and that, but it makes everything for you. You just kind of need to hit whatever end item it is that you want to craft. Now that we have our mine up and running for iron, we're we're gonna make sure that we can get the ore that it picks up from the ground in a chest. We're gonna have an automated system. We're gonna have roads and all sorts of cool stuff, but for now we're just stashing it up in a chest as we're doing down here with the coal. And I'm thinking we're pretty close to where we want to be. We need a few more transport belts before we can actually get completely self-sufficient coal mine up and running, but we should have that as soon as we empty out the furnace here. Let's see, we have 5 in there, so that's 10 total. We need a burner inserter, which is a robot arm that picks up something and puts it somewhere else. It runs on fuel, and the really amazing thing about the burner inserter is that it will prioritize itself first. So if it is moving a resource that it can use to fuel itself and it doesn't have any fuel, it's gonna fuel itself first. And that is why we can use it to make a self-sufficient unlimited coal source. Well, it's not unlimited because, well, the mine actually drains the amount available where it is positioned, so we are gonna run low at some point, but for now it feels like unlimited. That is the most important thing. If you remove a chest or anything else, and you do that by holding down your right mouse button, you're going to get all the resources it has. So by removing the chest, we actually pick up all the coal inside it. We have put this transport so that wherever the coal mine ditches out the coal, it's going to run onto the transportation system. And then we're using the burner pickup system to actually pick up from that transport system and put the coal back into the mine. So it's going to make sure that the transportation system, well, not the system, but the arm is fueled and the mine is fueled, and then whatever is left after that is going to be sent further away on the transportation system. And what I would really like to get up and running in this video here is that we have the coal running all the way from down here and up to our iron mine, so that everything is automated as much as we can do in, I don't know, 15-20 minutes, something like that. Get coal up and running, make sure that it fuels itself, get the coal all the way to the iron mine, make sure that it is fueled, and depending on how things play out, we may actually automate the process in the furnace as well, but we're going to take that as it comes. We're going to, in time, we're going to have railroad systems and tanks and all sorts of really amazing stuff going on here. We are definitely going to be raiding alien bases and stuff like that, but this is a slow build-up kind of thing, and we also need to look into research. And wow, this game is so amazing. There are so many things we're going to be looking into, and even though some might feel like the start of the game is a bit boring because you need to do like all these basic things, I really enjoy it. I'm so much for the build-up phase of the game, because this is where you have a chance to do things right from the start. And I may not do that with everything, but in terms of automation, I'm going to try my best to get as much as possible up and running in an automated way from the start. I'm thinking about what I want to do with the stone, and I think we're just going to put that into a chest for now. We want to stash it up. We don't want to be running out of stone, but we don't want to have it on the transportation system. The transportation system actually has 2 tracks, 2 rows. You can see the coal is actually just running on the right side here. What that means is that you can have 2 resources running on the same line, and that is something you can fill a great deal around with, especially once we get more technology. You have different arms that behave in different ways, and the thumb rule is that if they have more options, they're going to select something from the part of the track that is the furthest away from them. That is a bit of a thumb rule that can be very nifty to keep in mind, because it greatly affects how your automation is going to be working out at the start of the game, where you don't have the really crazy options that we're going to be getting later on. But for now, enough about that. We're going to be placing additional furnaces down here, and I'm putting them with 3 spaces in between. And there is no like sharp science behind why I am doing that, but I want enough space between them to have poles for electricity, to have additional mechanical arms doing different things as we move further into the game, possibly even additional transportation systems. So instead of just cramping them all together, I'm giving them a bit of space, and that is because they run on fuel as well. I'm fueling them with coal, and we're going to be doing that for quite some time, which also means we need something to put coal in there, we need something to put iron in there, we need something to remove what they have crafted from them. That alone is 3 things, but we can actually combine 2 of them in one. Hopefully I'm going to be able to showcase that in this video as well, where we use 1 arm to feed the furnace with both coal and ore. And that is it is another super intelligent thing that has been made with Factorio. These mechanical arms, if they're used to feed something such as a furnace or any other building that constructs something, they will only pick up a resource if that resource can be used by the building. What this means is that if we have both coal and iron running on the transportation system, it will only pick up iron if the furnace has room for iron. It will only pick up coal if it has room for coal. So we can use 1 arm in 1 position to feed it with both coal and with iron ore. That greatly reduces the amount of space we need around it, and for now we can stick to coal. We are probably in, I don't know, 1-2 additional episodes going to be moving into electricity, mainly because it's the only way forward, but also because things start to go a lot faster when you start researching and you get more advanced things, and they all run on electricity. So coal is a super getting started thing. You do need coal for the furnaces throughout the game, and even the next tier of furnaces actually require fuel, which I think is a bit of a shame, but yeah, we get more fuel options as well that we can use, and we are of course going to be looking into all that as we move even further into the game. The most important thing right now is that our transportation belt is close to being where we want it. We almost have the coal at our furnaces, and we are obviously going to be needing additional mines, both for iron ore and for coal. But right now, in this getting started episode, my main goal is to get the entire system up and running, automated, get coal from our starting base up to our iron base, and have that all working out together. And then probably in the next episode we're going to be popping additional mines. We're going to be looking into, we're probably going to be starting out with electricity, or at least clearing the area for it, because we need a water area for that. I'm making the transportation belt twist here, and you can turn things in the game by using the R button. Also, when you hover over something, you can use the R button to turn it around even after you have placed it, which is, I feel, kind of nice to know, but the tutorial takes you through that as well. Right now we're just stashing up on the coal here. We're making these burners, and we're going to place one between the furnace and the transportation belt. We're going to rotate it so that the arrow points down into the furnace, and what this is going to do is simply take coal and put it into the furnace. We're going to get our iron ore there as well, so that this one burner is going to feed the furnace with both coal and iron ore. We're actually pretty close to that point right now. We just need a few additional transport belt areas, and of course a burner arm to feed the mine as well. Then we're up and running with the first early automation machinery, factories, whatever you want to be calling it. It's up and running right around the corner. very important thing to keep in mind with Factorio and crafting is that you can have, like, you have your own individual crafting queue, which means that everything that you make from the E menu is crafted like by you, so to say, by whatever kind of magic gizmo is is going on. But you can only make one thing at a time. And once you start making more advanced things, or if you use Control or Shift to make multiple things at a time, you're going to be putting a massive delay on the system in terms of when you can make something again the next time around. Well, luckily, the game has factories that can craft components and entire crazy trains for you, but it is important to keep in mind if you start building something crazy that it will delay your queue, but you can right-click on your building queue to actually cancel the things that you have set in construction, and it will refund your resources as well. So a lot of really nifty things. So now we have the iron coming from the mine down onto the transportation system, and as you can see, the burn around there is just picking up the resource that can be used by the furnace. So it's a brilliant system, and there are so many crazy amazing things in Factorio, and hopefully over the course of some amount of episodes we're going to be looking into a huge amount of them. We're definitely going to be riding around in a tank, and we're going to be developing lasers, and yeah, this game is pretty amazing, getting alien artifacts and whatnot, but all in good time. So we can now feed full furnaces, but as you can see, we're not really getting iron ore fast enough for that to really have any effect, because it's just getting grabbed by the first furnace. As I said earlier, we're going to be needing additional mines, and yeah, we do like have a huge system that's just going to be ever expanding that we want to be making. Right now, what I'm doing here is at the end of the transportation system, I'm actually using a burner to move the coal onto another transportation table, and it is a nice way for you to make sure that you won't grab resources until you have had a chance to feed all of the machines you wanted first. So by doing it this way, I know that the coal is only going to reach the end of the line if all of the furnaces are full, and then the coal will pass on and I can use it to feed the mine. So that is, like, you can go with this any way you want, but for now, with very simple automation, that is the way I want it. I just need to get this up once more. We need one spot between where I want to have the mines and where the road and the transportation system is running, so that we have a place for a burner, and then we are pretty much set. I think this is gonna be it. We need 2-3 roads more. Not roads, I keep calling them roads. These are roads, guys. They're moving roads. Yeah, exactly. So one burner, a few additional transportation system component area things, and then it's a done deal. Then we have coal coming from our initial base all the way up to feed our furnaces, and ending into a feeding of our iron mine as well. And then yeah, we just kind of need to rinse and repeat and expand the system by adding additional mines with the iron that we get from our furnaces. So I would say we're in a pretty good situation here. There we have it, feeding in the mine. Absolutely amazing. So we now have our iron system up and running. The only real problem here is that we're gonna flood the system with coal in time, but as we make more factories, that is gonna even itself out. And yeah, I'm gonna be working on that now. So for now, guys, that was pretty much it here from the first episode. I hope you enjoyed. As always, thank you very much for watching.